And now, Lifestyles Unlimited presents the Real Estate Investor Radio Show. Over the next hour, we unfold your map to financial freedom. You'll learn how to retire through investing in single-family and multifamily real estate. You'll learn how to create cash flow and build wealth so you can have the time and money to live the lifestyle you want.
Welcome to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. I'm Mike Harrison, and yes, we're always working on your financial freedom. It's my privilege to be joining you today. Today's show is the third show of a three-part that I've done the last couple of weeks. First one was April 29th, and that's about changing your predetermined three phases of life. May 6th is a simple 6 rules that'll all but guarantee your net worth, will put you in the top 5% of wealth in the United States. And today is really a focus on those last 2 rules in that 6th rule. I call them Rule 5 and 6, creating and compounding wealth at a rapid rate. And the way you do that is you utilize a strategy called the Cash Flow Snowball. If you're looking for those shows, my shows are typically, if you go to the podcast app, you'll always find it pretty much on a Monday, or you can use the cheat bar down below and just search and type in Mike Harrison. But you'll find all the shows on the podcast app and obviously on the website, lifestylesunlimited.com. All right, the Cash Flow Snowball. I want you to know this. To build a Cash Flow Snowball is going to require concentration and discipline. First and foremost, I want to reinforce that a large part of what we do within creating the Cash Flow Snowball, our success really is all derived from shared information, shared experiences, and networking. It is so important to get to know others that are doing what you want to do or doing what you're doing currently. And within real estate, you want to find others that are investing, buying, owning rental assets. Don't just go take an online class. Don't just attend our financial freedom seminar and leave it at that. And I know there are other education groups out there. You can go do a one-day or a 10-day class, and they expect that you'll have all the information to buy a property. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. But as long as you continue conversing and visiting with others, you're going to stay fresh, and you're going to be able to adjust to any market changes that have occurred in the market. Yes, the market fluctuates up and down, and if you're stale, you might miss out on some of the strategies and best practices that you can learn from others. And it's so important that you continue that networking phase, and just, you should never stop, right? For instance, I participate obviously in our case studies that we have at Lifestyles Unlimited at the offices each and every month. If you've never been, I invite you to attend one of our case studies, and you'll meet other people just like yourself that are buying properties, investing in properties, and they'll share everything about those properties. It's so informative. And while you're there, you can network with other folks. I also do a breakfast meeting with a like group of investors once a month. I enjoy those meetings. I have a monthly lunch group, and actually that's some folks that are outside of Lifestyles Unlimited that do some things that I don't do. I focus on single-family properties and multifamily properties only, but within this group, there's all kinds of people. There's people that own trailer RV parks, that do fix and flip, that own a ton of properties, and while they're not necessarily using strategies that I am, I'm still learning from those folks. There is always knowledge that you can learn from somebody. And how much time am I spending doing that? Just 2, 3, 5 hours a month? It's really a small price to pay for continuing education, sharing techniques, sharing ideas, making those new contacts. I am better because of the minds, the ideas, and the experience that I gain from others. And I look forward to meeting those folks each and every month. I look forward to meeting new people, but networking is key. And within that cash flow snowball, if you're going to build a cash flow snowball, you're going to need help from others. You cannot do this alone. I've tried it. Trust me, you're going to need help from others. Now, later in the show, I will get into some math. And I know math doesn't translate well on the radio. I've done this show before. It's been at least a year since I've done the show. It is one of my more popular shows, but really it's the concept That is so important. I have updated the material because, ding, ding, the market has changed, right? We're in a period of massive inflation. We've had massive appreciation. Inflation actually works to the favor of the real estate investor. So it's not always bad. While you're at the grocery store, yeah, it's pretty rough. It's hitting us hard there. But if you own rental assets, those assets are appreciating due to the inflation. So the material, I've had to update it based on that. But again, I call this show the Cash Flow Snowball, an 8-year plan. And I'm going to mathematically walk you through the cash flow snowball. So what is a cash flow snowball? Let's clear that up. Undoubtedly, you've heard of the debt snowball, and that's what you do when you get out of debt. But then what? Well, you're broke, right? You're not debt anymore. You're not in debt anymore, which is great. But then you've got to move on and expand. And so we use the same concepts in the debt snowball, in the cash flow snowball. We're harnessing the power of compounding. But instead of debt, we're generating cash flow and wealth, passive income cash flow, one house at a time or one multifamily passive investment at a time, and we're stacking those on top of one another. And what we're going to talk about today is to create that cash flow snowball by compounding those investments. Everything in your favor starts to compound, becomes so incredibly powerful. By year 8, I just stopped there. Now, I know that sounds really long, but I tried to draw it out for simplicity. You can do this much, much faster, and most people do it much faster. There's some math that I'll get to later in the show. Personally, I created an Excel spreadsheet to kind of map it out, right? I'm real visual as far as a visual learner, so I need to see, essentially see the writing and see the mechanics for it to work. I've got that spreadsheet. If you want a copy of it, I'll be happy to send it to you. Keep in mind, real estate's local, so the numbers they're not concrete, right? You can fill in whatever works for your market. But what we do in creating this cash flow snowball, understand that it all came together because of the education and mechanics that Lifestyles Unlimited teaches. We're an educational and mentoring group. We've got members all over the country, and we've been around for over 30 years. It's tried and true. It's the same methods over and over and over. But what we do is we find a distressed single-family property. We fix it. We fix everything. We rehab it. We essentially create in that neighborhood what we call the best product at the best price, managed by the best people. If you have that, you have a winner. You don't want the slum property, because the slum property is going to attract the not so great resident. So we want a great product that essentially is attractive to the majority of people out there, so that we can put the best people, the best residents in those properties. Obviously, we're going to put a mortgage on it. We're going to leverage it, and we're going to pay that mortgage each and every month. But we're not paying it. Our resident is paying it, right? When they pay the rent, we're going to pull a portion from their rental payment, and we're going to pay the principal. We're going to pay the interest. We're going to pay the taxes, and we're going to pay the insurance. But most importantly, there's a little piece left over, and we call that little piece cash flow. Cash flow is what's going to enable you to buy your month back. The cash flow snowball is all about cash flow, although the other methods and the other strategies that make us money 5 different ways on these properties is all compounded into that cash flow snowball. So when I talk about it, I may use some numbers that I used in the past, but really what I'm using is what worked for me. Don't get caught up in those. What I want to communicate to you really is the concept and the mechanics of the cash flow snowball. So when I started out, I was making $300 to $400 per house in cash flow. I have owned homes that have paid much more than that, but essentially one house, if we use $400, for example, $400 is your cash flow per month. 2 homes, you would have 400 times 2. You'd have 800 per month, and so on. 3 homes, 1,200, on and on and on. 10 homes, $4,000 per month, $48,000 per year. Let me ask you, Would $48,000 per year, practically tax-free, change your life? Now, let's say that's high. Would $30,000 per year, practically tax-free, change your life? Of course it would. It's that passive income. But if you're starting out and you're trying to get to that point in the future where you're financially free, you need to compound this. We're not going to spend it. We're going to compound it, and we're going to use it to purchase more homes over and over and over. Now, let's get back to, are the 10 homes obtainable? Yes, they're obtainable for everybody. Many of you don't know this, but Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, right, conventional money that's out there for home mortgages, you're allowed to have 10 home conventional mortgages in your name. And if you have a spouse, that person can have 10 in their name. Did you know that? Most people don't realize how many mortgages they can have. And quite frankly, the more rental properties you have, the easier it is to borrow for the next rental property. It actually helps you. I know that's contrary to most belief. People out there are like, wow, that's massive debt. No, the banks love you. When you go to them and you're saying, yeah, I'm here to buy house 7, it's a lot easier than when you were buying house 2. They understand that you are creating wealth. The banks get it. What I want is you to get that. Now, if you want to go above 10 houses, right, and I've got many friends that own much more than 10 houses. I owned more than 10 houses at a time. You can utilize those conventional loans. Most of us have that conventional loan for our personal homes. So let's say you have 9 more in your name and your spouse can have up to 10 in their name. But above and beyond that, you do need to go to private money. What's private money, Mike? Well, I'll tell you, private money, there are private banks out there. There are high net worth families that have put together family businesses that are in the private money business. We have vendors that specialize in private money. Don't be afraid of private money. The process is actually easier than the conventional money. It's a little more streamlined. I've done it. So that money's out there. But as you're buying the purchases to create the cash flow snowball, you're going to compound the earnings from each home. So let's go back to that metaphorical or theoretical $400 per month on average per home. I don't want you spending it. You haven't reached financial freedom yet. You're going to save that. Now, saving, what's important? If you want to change your life in 8 years, I'm going to ask you to save a portion of your W-2 income as well, because we're going to use those monthly savings put together with the cash flow from each and every rental asset that you own, and we're going to compound that so that we can grow larger and faster each and every year. Now, you can put your money in real estate or you can put it in the stock market. Many folks out there, they understand the stock market because it's what they've been told their whole life. But I can tell you, when I was a stock market investor, I actually feel much safer putting my money into real estate. And the more money I get, the more I put it into real estate. I don't go back and throw some in the stock market because, quite frankly, I've been through 4 or 5 of these once-in-a-lifetime events with the stock market when I wake up and I lose 30%, and I'm tired of it. So I invest in real estate. We'll be right back.
Got questions? Call Lifestyles Unlimited at 855-497-4335. The Real Estate Investor Radio Show continues next.
Lifestyles Unlimited member Lisa appreciates having mentors who have her back.
Having the faith to move forward, and y'all have everything provided. I could call a mentor and say, hey, I don't know what to do. Someone is always there to guide you. I have backup.
Lifestyles Unlimited. Over 33 years teaching the real estate retirement roadmap. Text the word radio to 88007. That's radio to 88007. Join now for $297, a 60% savings. Lifestyles Unlimited. Text radio to 88007.
Creating the lifestyle you've always wanted. You're hearing Lifestyles Unlimited's Real Estate Investor Radio Show.
Welcome back to the show. I'm Mike Harrison. I would like to invite you to save the dates, October 2nd through October 5th, our Wealth and Passive Income Expo, the largest gathering of its kind in the country of real estate investors. Incredible event. It's going to be right here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area this year in Irving. Fantastic venue. Invite you to come out. That's October 2nd through 5th. And if you'd like more information, you can find that at wealthandpassiveincomeexpo.com. I'm talking about the Cash Flow Snowball, and I didn't start with a lot of money when I started investing in real estate, 12, 13 years ago. But let's say you start with 50. I think 50 is very realistic for people who are serious about becoming real estate investors. Obviously, if you've got more than $50,000, the plan will accelerate rapidly. Now, looking at it at face level, 8 years, let's say it really does take you 8 years, okay? 8 years is a noticeably short amount of time in your life when you think about it. Now, you can invest in real estate and change your life in 8 years, or you can stay in the conventional wisdom world. What do they ask for? Well, they ask for 40 years. And then at the end of 40 years, they hope you can retire, right? You got to start invest. They tell you, start when you're in your 20s and save 20% and scrimp and save and feed the 401k. And if you do that for 40 years, you might have a great retirement. Well, might and hope, in my opinion, are two terms that should never be used to describe something as important as real estate. So if you follow my Cash Flow Snowball and it takes you 8 years, and the other way is 40 years at a maybe, well, I just saved you 32 years. So that's 500% better, right? You see the real estate investor in me, we're always comparing performance of something. So 8 years is definitely 500% more effective than a false hope, maybe a 40-year plan. So the 8 year, I like that number, again, for ease. But the reasons people would want to create a cash flow snowball is to change their life, to buy their life back one piece at a time. Honestly, it's easier for a lot of people, and a lot of people do this. They just ignore where they are. They keep trying to get ahead. They keep trying to save for retirement. They keep trying to create wealth. And it's not working for them. So most people, sadly, they just ignore it. But if you're listening to me now, I suspect that you are either one of the 7% or want to be one of the 7%. And 7% is the number of folks out there that own rental real estate. It's only 7% of us. We purchase the real estate. We use the education model that Lifestyles Unlimited teaches us, and we create a business. Yes, you must treat owning rental real estate as a business. The good news, it takes very little time. You could run it from your home. You can do it while you have your W-2 job. I did, but that's one of the main reasons why I chose real estate investing. And you may be asking yourself also, well, Mike, I'm not sure now's a good time to buy real estate. The truth is, it's always a good time to buy real estate, but you need to do your homework. And yeah, it's a little trickier right now. We've got these rates that are in the 7% range, but the model still works. And I'll tell you, 7% is not a high interest rate. It's a normal interest rate. If you look back over the last 50 plus years, 7% is normal. Interest rates have been much higher than 7%. And also, for those of you out there that may be saying, well, I can't find any properties. Well, yeah, home sales are at a 37-year low. But understand this, two things. There are always people that must sell their property for whatever reason. Life gets in the way. Divorce, death, job transfer. There's all kinds of reasons why people are selling homes. And we're finding those opportunities out there. They're excellent opportunities. While the cash flow may be less than, say, it was 10 years ago, 5 years ago, the equity capture right now as a percentage is way, way up. But for you, compared to your strategy, understand the opportunity needs to make sense. You have to do your analysis, and if you do the analysis the way we teach it, you'll be able to identify what a good investment is and what a good investment isn't. but real estate is the most resilient asset class in the world. All right. Cash Flow Snowball, you're going to start with 50 grand. By the end of year 8, you will have 7 houses. I know that sounds like a lot in a short amount of time, but I can tell you that 7 houses in 8 years is about as slow as anybody could go. It's super slow, but it gets incredible by year 7 or 8. Before you do it, you need to be educated. If not Lifestyles Unlimited, find that investment group, that real estate education investment group in your area. Find a mentor. You're going to need to have good credit. Okay, I'll just tell you flat out, if you don't have good credit, you need to get your credit fixed before you do this. Your credit report is nothing more than a statement that says yes or no if you could be trusted financially. Yes, no, maybe. But the difference between good credit and poor credit is, I'll tell you right now, it's millions of dollars. You get rich borrowing, not saving. We bring the bank to every deal. Don't worry about debt to income unless you're doing your personal debt to income right now is out of whack because you've got high expenses. We're adults here. You need to correct your budget monthly and get those expenses down. But as you buy these properties, I've had people say, well, Mike, it gets harder and harder to buy properties because my debt load is growing. And nothing could be 180 degrees further from the truth. The more you buy the property, the better your debt to income comes because these are rental properties. You're getting rent each and every month, and that counts in your debt to income. What's going to happen at some point in year 3, maybe about 2.5 years in, you're going to have enough money to buy your next rental property, all from your savings and all from the extra cash flow on each property. You follow me? You're going to buy that second house some point in year 2. Now you've just added another $4,800 per year in cash flow. What happens in year 4? Nothing. You own 2 homes, and it's kind of like year 2. You're just riding it out, but you're setting that money aside. It's your dry powder so that you can go get another property. So you're going to set it aside. You're not going to spend it. This is for building the future. This is for buying your house back. This is for creating the cash flow snowball. Now, what's going to happen? At some point in year 5, you're going to have enough money to go home shopping. You're going to be able to buy that third rental property. Again, doing nothing more than continuing that $800 per month savings and adding it to the cash flow and setting it aside for the future. Can you see how if you're able to save more than $800 per month, and if you're able to start with more than $50,000 and buy maybe 2 houses when you start, do you see how this starts to compound? It compounds and it grows. I call compounded income the 4th type of income. It's actually the most beautiful income. It's making money on money that you've made. But here we are in the cash flow snowball. We've only gone through 5 short years, and you have 3 rental properties. I'm drawing this out super slow. I hope y'all are picking up what I'm putting down. All these rental properties are all rehabbed. They're all cash flowing. They've got residents in there, and you're renting the property to the residents. We get to year 6, and things begin to get very exciting. At year 6, you've got some choices. You can sell 1 or 2 of your first properties and do a 1031 exchange and take all of that and go buy more properties if you want. You can refinance those properties. You should look at both strategies. You should talk about both strategies to professionals who have done this. What I did was I did the refinance, and I pulled money out of my rental properties so that I could buy more rental properties. Again, in the cash flow snowball, that was year 6. For me, it was year 4 as I was moving along my investment path. Year 6 and year 7 are a blast because in those years, you get to buy houses 4, 5, and 6. Again, keep saving that passive income. Let's say $400 per month per rental property. It's starting to build up, my friends, and you're also still saving. Now, you can run 6 properties and still have a W-2 job. It takes less time then you think, yep, you've got some effort during the rehab phase, but you have professionals that are doing that for you. They will send you pictures. They will send you updates on those properties. They will show you once the work is completed. You can go by in your spare time and check it out, but you don't always have to. If you've got the right GCs that are doing those properties, again, very little of your time. So years 6 through 7, you're buying houses 4, 5, and 6. You're saving all the passive income from each house. You're also still saving from your W-2 income, and you're setting that aside. By the time you get to year 7 and 8 in the Cash Flow Snowball, it's awesome. You have reached the point where the cash flow begins to build itself. Really, at the end of year 8, you have enough income coming in each and every year. You can buy another rental property each and every year in perpetuity going forward. You can start using 1031 exchanges and exchanging out of one rental property into 2 or 3 rental properties. But by year 7 or 8, your cash flow just from the rent should be somewhere around $35,000 per year. Again, tax-free, okay? You've worked for 7 short years, and you're making about $35,000 a year in cash flow. Now, I told you we would come back to equity capture. If you made $25,000 per home times 7 homes, you just grew your wealth by $175,000. Do you see why we call it the cash flow snowball? Let's talk about another very important method in your favor. Mortgage pay down. What is that, Mike? Well, when your resident pays the rent, you pay the mortgage. What is that number on about 7 houses? Well, I can tell you it's about $300 per month per house. Why don't we just call it about $18,000 per year? Again, going to your net worth. Unrealized, but your net worth now in your sleep is growing $18,000 a year. You've probably made anywhere from $175,000 to $250,000 in equity captures. Your cash flow, again, exceeding $30,000 in only 7 to 8 years of concentration and basically discipline on your part to put this together and compound it. Well, let's talk about something else. Let's talk about appreciation. Friends, I call appreciation the silent millionaire maker. Remember, those houses are all worth anywhere from $220,000 to $250,000. When you have 7 to 8 houses and their values are $220,000 to $250,000, you now have a portfolio of real estate where the combined values, you're probably anywhere from $1.7 to $2 million. A portfolio of real estate, $1.7 to $2 million in 7 to 8 years. Yes, it happens that fast. But if appreciation is only 4%, okay, I'm being historical low. I know in many places it's much more than that, but let's just call it 4%. You're making somewhere in the neighborhood of $80,000 per year. Again, unrealized, but it's in your portfolio. It's in your net worth. Let that sink in right now. Many of you listening to me right now don't make $80,000 a year. So if I told you started working today and in 7 or 8 years, you're going to be making $80,000 in appreciation, $30,000+ in cash flow, about another $18,000 a year at least in mortgage pay down, friends, that's life-changing. That is the cash flow snowball. By the time you get to year 8, if you follow that program that I lined out, you will have changed your life. You will be in command of your life just by making smart, simple decisions and compounding them. And when you're done, I want you to remember, it's not the money, it's the lifestyle.
The information and opinions you hear on the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show are those of the host, guests, and callers. The Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show is for entertainment purposes only. Please consult a professional regarding your personal investment needs. Nothing presented constitutes an endorsement, recommendation, offer, or solicitation to buy or sell any product or security.